Hello, I'm Kingman and the movie that I'm going to spoil today is titled Home. It was said that this lake has a beautiful lake that is called that she is decorated with precious jewels if men. Whoever owns it will become the richest billionaire in the world. The jewels on her body attract greedy people who want to get rich. But none of them had ever ridden over her place and survived, as her cries frightened the hearers and killed one day a group of knights passing by while they were rest. A knight found something glittering underwater. He hurriedly picked it up and looked before finding out that it was gold, and did not even know the owner. Such gold was peeking at him like a siren meets an intruder, slowly rising to the surface and screaming with graceful dance. The knights, attracted by the jewels of the roof, became greedy. The sirens screamed again until the knights became dizzy and ran to the river before unwittingly killing each other. The river until the river turns blood. At that time, the textbook noticed that an undead knight was screaming madly, but this young knight couldn't fall in love with her voice. It was because he was deaf, but she, the siren, instead, thinks there's a problem with his cries. So he slowly went underwater and watched the young knight suspiciously. At that moment, there was a slight excitement, because he was the first to deal with the sound of the siren, and the young knight, who saw the horror in front of him, ran away into the middle of the night. That while the young man was resting in exhaustion, Siren approached and looked at him from head to toe, starting to feel good for the man in front of her before she thrusted her legs on top of him and slowly fell asleep. The next morning the young knight woke up to find, with the girl's legs resting freely on her own legs, she woke up and ran towards the river. The young knight tried to hold back, but only grabbed the gem that was on her body. As greedy as the others, he called after her to the river. When the siren saw that the man he wanted had a heart for her, he danced and seduced the young man. The young knight at that moment had seized the opportunity to retreat from her. The enchantment made Siren forget the pain as the jewels on her body were like her skin. She attacked and gave the young knight a sweet kiss until he saw that even her lips were covered with diamonds. So he kissed the movie until she died before he knocked her unconscious, and will come out of her body until all the blood that flows hers didn't make him feel pity and sympathy after stealing everything completely. He dropped her body in the middle of the river and carried a precious treasure. As for the jeweled siren's body, blood dyed the river, turning it red. During that time, the knight who had traveled for half a day felt it and stopped for a drink at the stream without him knowing the water was contaminated with the blood of Mrs. Siren. Her calling had healing properties, made the young knight recover from his deafness. As for Mrs. Siren, who woke up in the middle of the river, found herself being deceived, taking all her valuables and having love, even though she was hurt physically and mentally. A mesmerizing voice rang out, causing the young knight who had recovered from his deafness to become obsessed and mad at times. In the end, that person must die in this river, which is not different from others at all, and that's because of greed itself. The film wants to convey whether it's a transport hero or an honorable knight, but in real life, human thinking is selfishly complex, and not as good as the movie, and many people may think that the siren is the villain, but in the end, he becomes the victim. Which here is a story about two people who love each other for the wrong reasons, and it also reflects the relationship of modern people who choose for reasons that they regret later or not. The reason why in the end hurts both couples who are young enough to break up and start over, but most people that often has problems with the end of life. And it's hard to come out once you get into it. If the audience finds out that you're in a bad relationship, hurry up and get out. In fact, we shouldn't love someone who can't be together in the long term from the beginning, because it is that we put ourselves in a good tragedy story about love.